Hi everyone and welcome back to the Bebo Show. Today I have my friends here who are going to help me discuss the topic. And from left to right, I have George, I have Zishu, I have Josh, I have here Nickayla, and I have Mamy. So the topic we're going to be talking about is everything and anything relationship. So the first question I have is, how do people in our generation approach dating / relationships differently than the older generation?
Older generation, there was more set standards with the older generation. So in the older generation, you wouldn't be, for example, you wouldn't be living with someone that's not your husband or your wife. Now it's a little bit more fluid. The standards are a little bit more, not as, I don't want to say constrained, but I feel like in certain aspects, we don't have standards anymore on certain things. So it's a little bit different.
What kind of standards though?
So just as a given example of a standard.
Yeah.
One standard would be, living with someone that you're not married to yet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a standard. But that standard has changed. So that's an example.
So you're saying you're saying the difference is that we maybe jump quicker, we jump steps maybe?
Not that we jump steps, it's just that life changes, people evolve, and people start to have more freedoms. And they start to think, okay, you know what, I don't have to wait to get married to this individual. Mm-hmm. I can live with them because I might want to know their habits. I'm going to marry them anyway, so what's the difference?
Okay. So I guess the normal step-to-step process that we used to have in the older days, we just kind of skip it.
What kind of steps are those? That's what I'm trying to, you know what I mean?
In terms of simple things like you first meet the parent, you meet the individual, and then you even introduce the individual to your parents before you actually start, let's say, living with them. But now, in these days, it's not, those constraints are not really there anymore.
Mm-hmm. So if we move from just moving in before, we're just talking about regular dating, how is that different? See what I mean? So for us, for me, it's different in the sense that we act too quickly. There's no communication. It's kind of like, oh, I see you, I like you, I'm going to date you because you're pretty. I'm going to date you because you're fly or you have a higher social media. You could get me up there. Rather, back in the days, I would say, or the older generation, you were dating with a purpose. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're going to date someone because I see that as being my wife, or I see that a long-term relationship. Right. But for now, I feel it's just we're dating just to date.
The sake of dating.
Yeah.
For the appearance.
Sorry, I think technology has affected a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because back in the days, I'd imagine if my dad saw a girl, maybe not he's my dad, but an older person back in the day saw a girl. You write a letter. It could take 5 days to get there.
Yeah. Yes.
They read it. They might not respond. They send another one.
Yeah.
It could be a month since you hear back from them.
Yeah.
Here's text message.
Get
it back. You meet up the next day.
Yeah.
You like her, you don't. You like him, you don't.
Then on to the next one.
You know what I mean?
So I think technology is
affected every process.
Yeah. And I think also it's based on the fact that you have more options now. Back in the days, whoever you married, even if it was an arranged marriage, that's your husband. You don't even know them. And it's not about love. It's about recreating a family and having another generation. Well, now it's more about, your feelings, and if you love the person, if you guys are compatible. Oh, it's not working out, you're annoying me. I have other options, and there's, other social interactions where you can meet other people and then decide, oh, this is the easy way out. Let me just start over with somebody else instead of working things out.
And it's easier to get exposed to different cultures as well. Just to
that's true.
It's easier to get than before. You're now more exposed to different cultures. You go to university, you meet people from Africa, you meet people from Asia, different parts of Asia. You meet people from Europe, so you're exposed to different cultures. You get to have more experiences that you didn't have before. The opportunity is there.
Yeah.
So I suppose that has allowed for us to, I think that may have taken away some of the purposes that were there before.
Yeah.
So now you have more options. like Mamy was saying, you have more options. You're exposed to different cultures.
Yeah.
So you have choices.
Do you
like
think
a cafeteria line a bit?
Do you think the purpose changes with people's age? So just say like, in high school, your purpose is more not purpose. You're just dating just to date. It's like, oh, this guy has a girlfriend, so I should get a girlfriend too. But now, depending on what age you are, you're more this like starting to date for a purpose. I would say
that would depend. If you're the type of individual that wants to get married, some people don't want to get married.
Yeah.
Some people are like, well, it doesn't matter. I'll date whoever. And at the end of the day, if you plan to get married, and obviously as you get older, your decisions change. How you view relationships and how you, when you're younger, if there are issues in the relationship, all right, you know what, I don't have to deal with this.
Yeah.
But later on, you're willing to, you know what, let's work this out because we have a purpose behind it. But if there's no purpose, you're not planning to get married, you're not planning to do certain things.
As one, I'm sorry.
I would say in this the generation that we have, it seems people are more concerned with the image of dating, while in the old times it was more of like the values of dating, like why are we dating. But now in this generation, it's always like you want to have that good boyfriend, you know, you want everyone to know, you know, you post pictures on Instagram, and then that's also what leads to like switching relationships so fast. You know, like a lot of times, like when I think back in the day, when you were dating someone, like you would have that value with that person, you're discussing with that person, but now it's more of like everyone is communally dating with you. So like your friends always say, hey, you know, why is he treating you that way, or like why is she treating you that way? Like there's so much involved in it and how it looks, and people want to look at you that you have a healthy relationship. And at the same time, people want to look at you that you have like a good relationship in terms of like he's making money or she's making money, and more of that image based rather than that value based that like in the old times they used to have. What do you guys think of that?
No, I think you're right. Like people are easily involved, especially if you're posting your relationship online. It's so easy for so many people to just slide in the DM first of all and just have interactions. And some people even just because someone is involved with somebody else, that's why they're going to reach out to your boyfriend or your girlfriend. And then just having that, you know, exactly like what you said, that you have friends that are too involved in your relationship and I mean, there's nothing wrong with your friends telling you giving you some advice if you want that advice, but when it's not like nobody asks you for your advice, like why are you telling me this information? And it's just like people are way too much involved in your relationship, and then it's also like, oh, my boyfriend got me this bouquet of flowers.
You show the good on Instagram.
Hashtag couple goals or whatever it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's just kind of becoming this facade that you're playing, but then at home you guys are not even talking to each other.
Yeah, I feel like that leads to a lot of people's breakup.
Yes.
Because it's always out in the open and like nothing's private between the two people, and so I think like when there's comparison, people are like, oh well, so and so got whoever this bouquet of flowers, and then so and so did that, so you're like, oh, why don't you do that for me? Or if they're like, if people are, let's say, on YouTube or something, then they're showing this or the way people interact, but only because there's like they're like showing like a clip. But they will say what's going on.
Exactly.
Somebody will comment to be like, "Oh, why does she treat you like this?" And what is it? And so maybe you wouldn't have thought that before. And there's actually nothing wrong. Possibly. But because like they see that clip and many people are saying the same thing, you're like, "Oh well, yeah. He doesn't treat me right," or blah blah blah. But really, we're not even seeing most of the time in your life.
Exactly.
So then I think that leads to people.
Sure. Do you have anything to say about this?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think also back in the day there was more of an older generation influence on relationships.
That's true.
Right? So you have your aunties, your uncles. They're the ones like chiming in when you don't need them to, you know. And now it's just like, you know, at least they had some experience and wisdom with it. But now it's like your 15-year-old brother, like, you know, and, you know, you end up like making decisions in your relationship based off of what your peers are saying, as opposed to like more of a seasoned like guidance type of thing. I think that affects it a lot these days too. So I don't know. I just feel like we're really led by the blind these days.
Yeah.
Because it's time to give my friends a relationship advice, right? And you just kind of like, you look back 5 years later, you're like, dang, I shouldn't have told Zishu that. You know?
Right? Bad friends.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like back in the day, I only knew this much.
Yeah, but now you know
I
so
know
much
this
more.
much,
Yeah.
right? Back in the day, his standards were different, right? And now he's like looking for a lot more, and maybe that's what he had then, and we thought it was a little too complicated at the time.
Oh, that's
so,
good.
And that's the thing, that just to add on both your points, at the end of the day, the thing that we don't realize about thoughts are like seeds. They plant it, they grow. Like just what Nickayla, what you just explained, is it might not have been, the issue might not have even been an issue.
Yeah.
It plants, you let it sit in, and it grows. And I think there has to be an accountability on both sides. The individual in the relationship, you have to now discern and say, you know what? What are your credentials for you to tell me how I should go about this relationship? Especially if you know the person. Because I think nowadays, you don't have to be credible anymore as a source.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want. Because for my job and other things I'm trying to do, I'm working on getting my counseling accreditation for certain things. And I was looking at different schools. In one school, you could do it, get your accreditation, you're 18 years and over, get your accreditation. In a year, write the exam, you're a life counselor, here's your paperwork. Wow. And you can be 18 years old, know nothing about
life.
But you have something on a clock in your office, and people are going to come in and you're going to advise them. That is really scary. That's a scary thought. And I think that the accountability also is on the end of the individual receiving the information to say, you know what, how are you credible? Not just because that paper on the wall, but also, have you been in a successful relationship?
Because it's always the single people telling you
what's
Exactly. Have you been in a relationship? Not your theories of what you think a relationship should be. What is your experience on the subject, right? And at the end of the day, or it's like someone who's not married before is trying to give advice to married folk. That no, you should do this, you should do that. Not to say that you don't have some aspect of human wisdom, but it's an outside perspective. That's fine. But when you try to speak intentively on specific things in individuals' relationships without that experience, not knowing much about it, it's a dangerous thing. So we now have to question how credible the source is. And at the end of the day, people that now start to post all these things, you know, have to look back and be like, who am I to now start saying all these things? I'm single. I haven't been in a relationship before, for example. How am I not speaking on relationships per se?
I agree with that.
Okay.
But I think if you're going to post your life, like if you're going to continue to post, then you can't filter who's gonna comment
and who's
as well as because you put it out there, you've also put out the option, the permission for people to comment on it whatever they want. And so even if you don't intentionally even care about the comments, it's still there.
And that's the accountability.
Exactly. And so you're gonna need to think, can I handle posting but even you're giving people permission to comment on your stuff.
I agree 100%. For sure.
So on talking about approval, how important is to have your parents' approval before marriage?
Very important. Yeah. They seem to see through everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
No, it's true, yeah.
Yeah, you get older, you realize, like, I should have told my parents about this.
Because they would have probably...
From day one. I would have avoided so much trouble. But, you know, I could say my parents are great parents. You know, I'm not throwing shade at anyone, but I know there's people out there who don't have the same kind of like home environment where they can go and talk to their parents and stuff like that. Yeah, you can always talk to mine. Because I found like almost every time I get to the point where I'm like, crap, what am I doing? Yeah. I go talk to my dad, and it's like, he slaps a sense into you with his words. Yeah. And it's like,
you gotta make it clear with his words.
Don't promote
that. Good man. And it would have just saved me so much pain and whatever, you know. But I think it's also hard for, maybe it's an African thing, a black thing, where we're not as open maybe it's just me, but maybe it's not. We're not as open with our parents growing up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
I have some of my friends
Yeah.
who grew up here.
Your parents are not your friends.
That's
You know
the
what I
thing,
mean?
yeah,
They're not
they're
your. I'm just saying, just in general, they're
Yeah.
not as. Maybe when you're younger, it's not that they're your friends where you can really open up. Like, they're your
Yeah.
parents. So there's that level of like respect and whatnot.
Yeah.
But as you're growing up, you open up more. But it's still sometimes like a.
It's hard.
Yeah.
But I
you're
think,
not used to doing it. That like, when you actually have to do it, it's always like
Exactly. It's new to me.
Yeah. Or it depends. I feel like one is situation is I just say marriage. If I'm having doubts, I don't think I would hesitate to go to my mom and ask her what she thinks.
No.
Just because I feel like she would know. I see her marriage. I know how it is. She would know to advise me about like, you know what? Maybe take your time with this one. See how it's going. Just because they had that advice. So I think it just depends on the topic, how you could approach your parents. And also at what age. If I was 16, I was definitely not going to go to my parents about like, oh, I have a crush on this guy, this and that. Like, my mom would be like, why are you crushing on boys? You know?
Exactly.
So I wouldn't. But now I could go and be like, oh, I'm thinking of this. And she'd be like, oh, let me see. And she could judge. And even I feel like for a girl, for me, I should say for me personally, I would probably go to my dad. Because I think my dad would be able to tell me if the guy's trying to play me. Is he serious? He would know, because he's a man. So he would know how to kind of like, maybe this one's not too good for you. So I don't know. That's for me. That's how I think I will go about it.
But at the same time, like the heart wants what the heart wants.
So,
That's a dangerous statement.
Yeah, that is a dangerous statement.
It's like, Mom, I hear you.
You
but
what? So then, would you guys go ahead with the marriage without the parents' approval, without your parents' approval?
I feel like it depends. Like, what is the reason why they don't want that? Like,
Exactly.
let's say if they're saying they're from a different tribe than us, we don't marry. That's not like a valid reason. But if you're saying that I've seen the way he treated you, he's been, I don't know, beating you, or he stole money, or this and that, like there's actual valid things, then I would listen to them. Because at the end of the day, yes, it's my relationship and it's who I'm marrying to, but at the same time, I don't want to have beef with Christmas holidays and to bring my husband around and nobody likes him. I don't have time for that.
No, I was just gonna say, when you started to think it's an African thing, I really think, okay, so I have this theory in my head that like Asians and Africans are like really similar. Like so similar in terms of their values and stuff. And then I think everybody else is a little bit less that parent approval. Like for me, I value my parents, what they say and everything, but there's certain things that I like. Again, if they're like, oh, this person's not good for you, blah, 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 I do listen to my parents because they're not, my parents don't get involved that much when they say, okay, this is you, you're that person. Like, if I were to say to my dad, like, oh, I want to, like, I'm very close to my dad, so sometimes I'll tell him stuff and he gives me advice, and, like, even if it's about, like, a guy or something, he'll be open to that as well. Or he's like, no, you're going to I don't want to talk about this until you get married. Sometimes he's like that. Or sometimes sometimes, he's being more serious and he'll help me, but I don't know. It depends on the situation. It doesn't necessarily need to be so severe. But if you're like, I don't really like that personality trait, then I'd watch it.
Exactly.
So that's a thing. But also, my parents are not. So like, my father is not Christian. So for me, it depends on that as well. I think I would have to get like other spiritual advice as well. So it depends. It depends.
Okay.
So if that's a thing, then I'm like, okay. I don't know. So it depends. But if they just flat out don't like the person, I don't know. Like if my grandma doesn't like you, then
that's right.
Something's going on. Maybe I need to.
Especially because I feel like where my parents are, they really want grandkids. So if they're like, if they're saying like,
no,
they could wait on that
because
rather
there's
than
a
have somebody
reason.
else, then there's definitely
a reason. That's so true.
When I speak with my father and we talk about different things, I appreciate the way he approaches conversations with me. He'll give his opinion. He'll be like, well, I don't think that's a good idea. What do you think? And I'm like, well, I think it's a good idea because of X, Y, and Z, and we'll discuss it. And he will explain why he thinks I shouldn't necessarily make that decision or why I shouldn't do that. And we'll have a pure discussion on our views on it. But the thing that he makes me understand at the beginning or the end of the conversation is, you're a grown enough man that you're going to make your choice. And this is why we're discussing it. But know that you have irrespective of what I say and what I think, make your decision and you make your choice. So that's how we have certain types of conversations, and that has enabled me to understand how I will now be discussing things with my children. Because I feel with children, if you're giving them the opportunity to on certain things to be adults, it demonstrates to them a level of trust that they will make the right decision.
That's true.
Right. So that's what I take from all of that, and that's why I value his opinion.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know if I shouldn't be contradicting myself because I have the same parents, but I mean, because my dad, my dad stays out of things, but like when I approach him with something, that's when he will come into it. Because he's so like, okay, it's your, do whatever you want to do. You're grown, within reason, obviously. But I have my own boundaries. So because if he is to say something specific, then I would look at it because he doesn't usually pry.
Yeah.
So
Right.
the fact that he's like, red flag, I'm like, okay, tell me what's up.
Yeah.
So I
You get me on that.
Okay, so the other question I have for you guys will be, how important is to have full disclosure with the person you're dating or in a relationship with? So your history, dating history and everything, how important is that?
Very important.
Do you have to say everything?
Nah.
Joshua,
What are you trying to hide?
What kind of information are you holding back?
We all
What's
have
your
our
baggage?
past. And sometimes sometimes you can discuss with the individual and be like, hey, you know what? We all have our pasts. So maybe you don't want to be that jealous individual that you're still hanging around your ex. But you can just kind of say that, hey, if you don't want to know, because I have been in a situation where I said, you know what, if you want to bring it up, bring it up. If I want to bring it up, I'll bring it up. If you do want to know something, ask me.
Okay.
But our full disclosure can happen as the relationship goes on. It doesn't happen.
I get what you.
Because if it happens at once, I'm like, I ain't trying to date you.
So can I? Question. So did you have? So you were still hanging around your ex-girlfriend?
No, that's not.
No, you okay? Just in a scenario.
Random other person.
Why isn't it just a straight line?
story here.
Let's go deeper.
Yeah,
Right?
Josh.
Because I'm trying to.
Questions need to be posed.
Be bold, Josh.
Be bold and say. So my thing is, okay, so have you ever had your girlfriend and an ex in the same room? So you're saying, and they're interacting and they don't know.
No,
And then after you told her.
Yeah, okay, it depends. So what happened was, if I know they're about to meet, right, I would be like, hey, blah, blah, this is my ex kind of thing.
Okay.
If it happens so quick, the whole time, sometimes it happens that you don't have time, so you come into the room, you're like, oh, snap, you're talking about
But you know what?
me.
If it was me, I hope you see your exes there, you better find time to tell me and be like, yo, by the way, my ex, and then we'll talk about, because I'm not going to look stupid another girlfriend there.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, Joshie.
Nah,
Why she touching you like that? You guys dated? I didn't know. Nah.
I think that's a whole different topic. So you're saying exes can't be friends?
I'm not saying they can't be friends. It just depends on why they
exes cannot be friends. The ex is the past.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
You know what I'm saying?
So for me, if I'm dating someone and he's like, yeah, I want to go hang out with my friends, and he tells me his, and after he's like, oh yeah, this girl was there, and I'm like, didn't you used to date her?
Yeah,
But if it's not,
But I don't care if you used to date her. It depends.
There's residual things. I don't need that.
Thank
Which
you.
is because
Because if
it's residual.
Yeah.
yes, because I don't know.
I
The
like
thing is,
the
like,
word
I don't.
residual.
Does she still got feelings for you? Stuff like that. You don't know. I don't know.
But y'all broke up.
I don't
It
care.
doesn't
I'm
matter.
comfortable
People
when you
break
hang
up
out
and
with
get back together.
your ex-girlfriend when I'm not there. I better be in that
Oh,
room.
that's messy.
That better be in that. I
I thought
better.
you don't want to be there.
No,
I'll
I
say this.
do. Like the thing is, like I don't. My thing is, I don't want to go in a room looking stupid. I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't
What does
want
that
to
mean,
look
though?
stupid.
What does that mean?
Because
That means. Sorry,
sorry,
go ahead.
no.
Yeah.
No, because I'm trying to back her up. I'm looking. You look stupid if you didn't know that that person used to date
And you
that person.
don't want
Yeah.
your girl to.
That's
Exactly.
disrespectful.
So if I'm
That's
talking
even
to my girl's ex, And then she tells me
But see,
after, I'd be like,
I say I would never put my man in a situation where he will look stupid. Never.
Wait.
So I would tell him like, hey, well, this one might be here, this and that. Because like, how stupid you look, like you guys are talking whatever, and the girl maybe she has still feelings. She'd be like, see, the girlfriend didn't do da 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 da. No.
What I'll say is this. I like to look, honestly, guys, I like to look at things from a very holistic point of view. Holistic point of view in the sense that when it comes to disclosure, I prefer to be 100% honest. If what I'm saying even causes things to be rocky, right? Then I'd rather it be rocky then and the trust is established.
Yes, I
so
agree
when
with
you
you.
see the ex or you see the who, you're like, you know what? He told me about that.
Yeah.
I believe in that because I've seen it happen to someone where disclosure was not made, and the things were honestly disclosure was not made, and things were just hidden, and the secrets piled and piled, and it caused a lot of damage. And it's someone I know, so I saw the fallout of that. And so when I see the fallout of that, I'm sorry.
No.
I'll just add, when I see the fallout of that, I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, I believe in relationships with purpose. If I'm dating you, I'm planning to marry you. If I'm planning to marry you,
I want that full disclosure.
we need to have that.
Exactly.
We need to have those conversations.
Yes.
You need to know. Believe me, when I was much younger, in my head, I'm like, what am I going to tell you for?
And that's the thing.
And that's what I used to think. But what I've seen is like, look, I need to put it out there. We need to discuss these things. If it's rocky, because it's something that I told you that you might not have liked hearing that I used to do in a past relationship, or someone I dated that you didn't expect I would date, whatever that case may be that make it rocky, I'd rather we do that now and solidify the roots of trust. I'd rather go through that being uncomfortable at that point.
Can we
So how
clarify
long
something?
until you give that full disclosure?
That is a good
When you're
question.
dating
So
someone?
Let's clarify full disclosure, because I think I'm lost.
I said in your past, who you dated, like what kind of things you did.
Whoa.
Well,
so who you dated?
Yes.
Yeah, who you dated.
To me, that's full disclosure.
Yeah.
Everything else after that, that's like...
So saying like...
privilege.
Okay, but to me...
Let's
Okay,
define that.
hold on.
I think while dating... Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so piggybacking off of what you said, I feel like if you begin to see, like, if it's like, oh, when it comes up, I'll tell you. It's like you're gonna think everything that's coming up, it's gonna just be hitting you like this, like, oh, so now this, okay, so now that. But I do think that there should be time for certain things. Yeah, because it depends on, like, I don't know about you guys, but it takes me a while to date someone. Like, I can't just be like, you're so cute. Like, no. So there's a point in before we start dating that I will be talking to and figuring out, is this person serious or whatever, these kind of things. And I'll get to know you. But I don't think, like, there's different things like trauma or whatever. Like,
course,
that is not, I don't need to just be telling you that immediately because in the event that we break up and you want to go,
then you start talking,
or that's just,
I agree. But, even a waterfall has to be controlled. The flow of information has to be controlled. But what I'm saying is, however it flows, you're going to know. I'm going to tell you.
I agree with that.
But I just feel like just say I'm starting to date someone, I want to kind of know the dating history. Like, this is your ex, this and that. Now, we're going to talk, like you said, about trauma, about, like, why I am who I am. That's going to come with time. If I see, like, this is going to be my husband, this is who I'm going to marry and spend my life with, I'm going to tell you stuff that you need to know about why I act the way I act, why certain do this, or that's when the full disclosure comes in. And like you said, before I start dating someone, I'm not dating just to date. I'm dating to get married. So the person I'm going to be with is a person in my head. I'm like, technically, is going to be my husband. So at a certain point, I know that I'm going to have certain talks with him. So I'll start for, like, hey, this is my dating history. When we get more serious, the heavy stuff are going to start coming in and stuff. Because I'm not going to throw everything in at him, but, like, this is kind of like, and after something happens, then you have, like, kind of like, a part of me is with you that might not want that part to stay with you.
What if you're with somebody that says, I don't want to know your story, like, it's fine for me, and like, I don't want to know what happened before, and I don't want to talk about what happened before with myself. Are you okay with that, or?
Not really, because I kind of want to know, why are you?
No, not about like
or dating.
Let's say, I dated girls in the past. I don't want to really go into details and I'm not saying this is my. I'm just putting a scenario out there. Like, let's say he's like, I dated girls in the past, but those are my exes. Maybe I could tell you who the girl is, but I don't want to go into details, and I don't even want to know about your past or anything.
Okay.
Knowing me, my personality.
But you can't be like, no, I want to tell you about.
No, I would never. I'll just
know
be
what I
like,
mean?
I would take that automatically. I'll just be like, oh, why? Like I would need I'll just need like
this is my
explain.
past. I don't. It's the past. We're here. We're good. But I don't need to know.
The past repeats itself many times.
Whoa.
If you don't,
It depends.
if you don't, the past is gonna repeat itself. If you're making the same, like people tend to do things in patterns and in habits.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna need to know what that is so we can intersect that and deal with it because I need to understand what your past girlfriends or you or whatever. Let's cut whatever bad habits because you're not coming to ruin my life. So I need to know.
I mean, it's like I don't care about someone's past.
Yeah.
If you tell me, well, I like to know who you dated.
Yes.
As you said,
Yeah.
you don't want to look stupid. But at the same time, beyond that, I don't really, unless it's affecting you now in one or another.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing this because this happened in this relationship.
Yeah.
We could talk about it. But if you're like volunteering information that I really don't need to know.
But what information would that be that you
I don't need to know like details about what y'all used to do.
No. So not like that. So when I say that,
you know what I mean? Like, I don't really know none of that.
What is full disclosure?
Full disclosure is like just telling everyone like, yeah, I've dated this. This is why we broke up. This is what happened. Like, what did you learn from this? Like, just being open with that person.
Can I add
So,
something
yeah.
to the viewers because dating these days is different. So you can be talking to a girl and be involved with her, and then you can be dating. So some people could have only dated like 5 people, but they talked to a lot of people. Like being involved with a lot of people. So,
So not actually being in a relationship and you're talking to
the
somebody.
full disclosure.
If you're involved with someone and it got physical and stuff like that, yeah, I do want to know.
So then that's
because it wouldn't be weird. Like, how would you feel if your girl didn't tell you who she was involved with? You guys go to a party. This guy is talking to you.
Nah,
Remember
fine,
that?
you're
And
good.
after you go in the car,
I ain't friends with
you go in the party and be like, oh, by the way, this guy, we were involved.
Nah,
And especially
I'll
the worst
I'll
would be if one of your friends is like, "Oh, you're cool with her. You're talking to
Like, imagine that.
so-and-so."
We don't want that. You know how stupid you feel. Like, kind of like,
What I'll
really?
say is, you know when someone asks you a question,
Mm-hmm.
in your heart you already know the answer. The moment you start to pervert that answer, that's when I'll be like, okay, if someone asks you a question and says, hey, who have you dated? And if dating to you means people you talk to, people you whatever, then give it from that perspective. If you start to dissect it and be like, well, that wasn't really dating.
Yeah.
What do you mean
Yeah.
by dating?
We went on 2 days.
And then you start to parse through,
Yeah.
it ceases to be truth anymore to you at least.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's just be clear. Because here's the thing. My full disclosure, I think, is very different from a lot of people.
So
and I think I
what's
get
your
in
full
trouble.
disclosure?
Just names.
Like, he doesn't want to
Names.
know
I
activities.
don't
Right?
I don't need to know.
But it's not that somebody
But-
like nobody's gonna.
But for some people, full disclosure is so much more than that. It's like, yo, I went to this, I've been to this concert with this person.
No. See, I don't need to know all that.
You know what I mean?
I just need to know, like, yeah, I dated this girl. We got involved. It got physical. We did this, and well, no, we didn't do this, and that. Like, sorry.
You know what? I don't think it could ever be. You cannot say full disclosure because full disclosure.
Yes, true, not but just be open.
It
Be honest. Just be honest. Like, I dated this person. We weren't involved. We broke up because I kind of don't you want to know you're with someone that cheated before?
Yeah.
Don't you want to know if you're with someone that murdered someone?
Oh,
don't you want to know someone that that has a criminal record, or don't you want to know someone that's like
that
has an addiction but is working through it? Don't you want to know stuff like that?
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, you kind of want to know.
But that might take a while too, right? Because
and that's what I'm saying.
But it's not now I'm in love with you. You'll tell me you used to do cocaine. That's not.
Because I
love you, but we had to know I want to have children. So what?
But I used to. It's done.
Yeah, but that's addiction.
But you know what?
That comes back up.
But everybody
If you're
is comfortable with saying that information at their own pace.
I agree with you.
But
it's
it's
not
not
fair.
like
It's not fair.
but you can't be
I don't want
years
to know.
one.
Even
Even 6 months to
one
me is
whole
too
year.
deep.
But
you
For
know
you
something?
to tell me, yo, I'm an
Imagine
alcoholic.
if the last time you dated
You've
somebody
been together for 6 months.
The last
You
time
didn't
you
notice
dated
that person was an alcoholic
and
for
you
6
told them
months?
that business and they left you.
Do you know
Maybe now
something?
you're more guarded, right?
Okay, no,
You know
True.
what? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Because like it all depends on the person and when they're gonna open up. But like imagine if you open up to somebody and then the last person you opened up to, they had a bad reaction to it. So now in this new relationship you're like, well, they didn't get to know me. I know girl. But they didn't get to know me yet. And they like ran. So I'd rather they get to know me who I am. Now I'm gonna disclose that person. Now obviously like if you decide to bounce regardless and what it is, but at least you're giving me a chance, because if I'm telling you certain things, maybe that might be negative or what, like, I don't know, I was an alcoholic and all this kind of stuff.
But it would depend for me.
I'll say this though. We can all, like, when you're in, I believe, when you're in a serious relationship, really serious relationship, and you're friends with the person and it's that deep. When you're in that type of relationship, it unearths. It pulls out these weaknesses. So some of your weaknesses or past struggles present themselves. And when they present themselves, the person might not see that it's already come out, but you know it. And you're like, okay, if this thing keeps coming up like this, I need to talk about it. Because I feel what happens is we try so hard to bury it because, okay, we're not ready. I can't talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Oh, well, that's not my business. It's done. I don't need to handle that. Sorry, guys. It's still straight. I don't need to handle that now. I need to handle that now. I'll deal with it later. What happens is it keeps presenting itself, and before you know it, you lose that chance. Because external parties now come in, or people you used to hang out with, or people that know it slips out, and then it feels. Why am I hearing it from
somebody else? And
we have
withholding information.
We now have this thing where I felt we're close, and I could feel like things about us are being unearthed. So we should be able to trust each other. And not so that's why I look at things from a holistic man. I'm like, you know what? I'm looking at things long term. If this thing is going to cause a lot of long term damage, it may hurt short term. I'm spewing it out right now. Let's talk about it, especially if it's presenting itself, right?
There's the right time to disclose. If you enjoyed this conversation, please like, subscribe, and comment down below right now. We're just gonna wait for you. Give you a second. You do it? I know you didn't do it yet, but do it quick. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. And remember, guys, be bold. 'Cause my papa